Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 tournament game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 37. Jump into things. This is actually a relatively quick turn because we are kind of in between things at the moment. But to kind of kick things off, we have some incoming trade from Vanarus, 15 death gems. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is in return for the, what was it? 15 nature gems that we sent them last turn. Just a simple swap. We're not using a lot of our nature gems for things at the moment, other than casting Haru specs, just to get our income up. So nature versus death is, we vastly prefer the death, even though we're actually not really utilizing our death a lot at the moment either. It's still something where we're like, we would rather have a bigger death bank than we would a nature bank at this point. Is what it is. So we've done that. We cast Summon Condors, we cast Haru specs twice and found nothing. Very unfortunate. And there were no battles, so that kind of makes that whole thing really super duper quick. So moving onwards, we did take control of Snowford. I'm not really going to list this as a battle or an exchange. Both this turn and next turn, we're going to be trading some provinces with Ulm. So this is Ulm taking a province, or us taking a province, rather. Next turn, I believe Ulm will be taking 2 provinces back from us. No battles, no real... So, there's that. And then we actually have an unexpected event in Mark. So, boom, gold deposits have been found, and a new mine is being built. So this is actually a gold mine. So events for the turn, 1 positive event. And it's a gold mine in Mark. And this is pretty interesting for us. And I think we can go actually check why this is pretty interesting. I kind of mentioned this previously because this gold mine we found over here in Austin Glen, and at the time we had this great silver mine. I think did we have another mine? We might not have. No, we didn't. I think the idea was when we found both of these, I was like, if we start getting more mines, this could be a big deal. And the big deal there is the idea of, like, riches from beneath. We are facing pretty severe income issues because we don't have growth. And we also have Turmoil 3 and Sloth 3, right? So and Heat 2? I think Heat 2 is fine for us. Or is Heat 1? I can't remember. Regardless, right, like, our income scales are toilet, right? They're just trash. So we do not have a way to really support ourselves from a gold standpoint, from an economy standpoint. And we're trying to figure out ways to do that. And getting something like a gold mine in Mark is actually really, really valuable, because that kind of turns Mark and Austin Glen into 2 of our most valuable provinces. Even though they do not have high populations, this plus 60 base gold is really, really important. Now, unfortunately, that plus 60 base gold is fucked up with unrest, so we need to get in here and we need to get the unrest out of both of these locations so that they can be, close to 100 income provinces for us. So that's going to be a pretty big deal over the course of the next. We are done with the war in Agartha, pretty much. Agartha's not quite dead. Ulm's going to be taking care of them in the very near future. And I believe it is this turn or it is next turn that we, basically as a coalition, declare on Vanheim. Now, we have a non-aggression pact with Vanheim, so I believe it is turn 40 is the plan on when we're going to start attacking. So that is a pretty big deal. Most of our movements right now are based around the concept of consolidating and trying to get some money going. So there's nothing in here that's super surprising. I think the most specific thing is we do have some Haten Runa that we are moving into Mark. right? Mark itself is being patrolled by these heavy infantry and some wolves. We're going to continue to produce wolves here until we can get a good patrol force to keep Mark going. Because they have the slave market, which continuously boosts their unrest, and we want to keep that down. And then the same thing has happened over here in Austin Glen, right? They have this slave market. We want this gold mine to be producing as best it can. So we are bringing in a force. We have a force here with this Apu, right? And we are bringing in... What's my... Oh, I have cap locks on. Yeah. We're bringing in a additional force, right, from here. These 33 Hatenruna. We are going to be reinforcing them with these 47 Hatenruna, creating a full 80 stack that is then going to go over to Austin Glen and start patrolling down. So we'll hopefully in just a few turns, we'll have both Mark and Austin Glen fully patrolled out. And then from a research standpoint, it's very likely. So we're going to complete Enchantment 5 next turn. And we're heading directly for Enchantment 6 already because I think one of the only real plays that we have is, at this point in time, is a fatigue play, is Rigor Mortis, right? So we're already going to be going for Enchantment 6. Which means we're probably going to want to do Riches from Beneath regardless, right? So Riches from Beneath, we are not a resource nation. We have Sloth 3. We have Sloth 3 in our Dominion. We are not going to get a shit ton out of this, right? But I've done the math, and I've done the math on the turn, right? Or how to phrase this? I'm pretty sure, after having done the math, right, that we are going to... It's going to be pretty beneficial for us to do this regardless. It's going to take several turns for us to even get to Enchantment 6. It's 1,300. It's going to take us at least 3 turns to get up to that regardless. So we're not guaranteeing that it's going to happen, but I think it's one of the only ways that we actually can boost our income and start trying to make some money, right? Obviously, going into this war with Vanheim, it's going to be a very big deal on what can we do, what can we get out of it, because if Ulm just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and Jotunheim gets bigger off of this, and we stay relatively small, we're basically just signing our own death warrant at that point. So we have to come out of this in a positive manner, or else it doesn't matter, right? So that we're kind of looking at what are our opportunities, what can we try to accomplish to kind of get this ball rolling. And then the other idea is we got to figure out what can we even do against Van, right? Like, so obviously Ulm and Jotunheim. Jotunheim is relatively small like us, but they have had their territory the majority of the time. They have had a long war against Nabah, an inconclusive war against Nabah. Otherwise, if they actually held all of this territory, I would say, my God, we should do very, very well against Van. But as it is, I think Jotun was winning out, but not in a decisive way. So I think what's going to happen, or I hope what's going to happen, right, is that Ulm and Jotunheim are able to do the heavy lifting against Vanheim, and we're able to hopefully pick up these like border provinces and maybe 1 or 2 other things, and go from there, right? So that's the idea, that's the plan, that's the hope, that's what we're going to try to facilitate. But I don't expect that that's going to happen, right? Because if I was Van and I got attacked by a 3-person coalition, I would be looking at who are the most vulnerable targets. Who can I focus power against and either push out or just outright kill, at the beginning of the war. And I've kind of talked about this already, right? That I think is undoubtedly me, right? There is no doubt in my mind in any way, shape, form, or fashion that Van's ability to raid me is superior. Van's ability to counter raid me is superior, right? And Van's ability to fight me in the open field is superior. And don't mistake me, don't get me wrong, right? Like, this is almost entirely because Van is having a good game and I'm having a bad game. It's not that the nation Nazca can't fight the nation Vanheim. It's that we are far, far on the back foot and Vanheim is already off to a sprint, right? So, it's gonna be an uphill battle. And yeah, let's talk about what we're recruiting and what we're gonna try to accomplish as we move into this. So recruitment for the turn. We have 1 Akla, 1 Huron Priest, 12 Aukak Runa Archers, 7 Heavy Infantry, and 4 Sun Guard. So this is kind of a repeat of what we've been doing a little bit. I don't know that we did the Heavy Infantry last time, but we're basically continuing to produce both Researchers and... so we've got a Huron Priest up here, and we've got an Akla down here. The Aklas down here, right, we're probably going to continue to produce mages down here in Boral for as long as possible because our Dominion is very weak down here, and we're getting more research out of this location than we would other locations, right? So we're probably going to continue to produce Aklas down here, or Huron Priests or whatever. The Huron Priests, though, are more for combat than for research. They are just significantly better battle mages. And now that we're about to have Enchantment 5, they're Horde of Skeletons raiders, right? They're not, don't get me wrong, they're not especially effective Horde of Skeleton raiders. They'll probably die. But the thing about Nazca when you're dealing with Huron Priest is you're kind of like, oh, if they die, I'm not super upset by that, right? So they can be good raiders or decent-ish raiders, and then if they die, you don't feel the burn as badly because you get a Malqui priest out of it, right? And you're typically relatively happy about that. So that's kind of like the commander side of things. As far as the unit side of things, heavy infantry, again, we're just trying to get a little force down here in Boral to be able to hold the gates if we need to. Sun Guard, because that's the best unit that I currently have right now, and Aukak Runa Archers, under the hope, right, that if we have to get into a big fight, maybe Vanheim doesn't have Arrowfiend yet. Flaming arrows, a stack of like 40 or so archers can actually do quite a bit of damage, can pop a lot of glamours, and against Einherjar, right? So just looking at these boyos, Einherjars do not have shields, right? They have high protection, which is difficult to do anything about, especially when they go Berserk, because Berserk +5 is crazy, right? But with the flaming arrows, etc., you can deal a little bit of damage to Einherjar. You can kind of like fuck them up. I think that's one of the only opportunities that we have to do anything. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a good opportunity, but I think it is one of the only opportunities. So yeah, that's kind of the route that we're going to go. As far as other things go, Nazcan recruits, we continue to capture Hatan Runa, 34 Hatan Runa this turn, and 2 Supayas. I wish that we had more income in order to get our Supaya train kind of rolling, but we just can't afford Royal Malquis, honestly. Like, we could stop recruiting things, and then and I've actually thought about this. I've thought of trying to weigh the pros and cons, right? Like, how would it be more effective, right, to just not recruit anything and just every other turn or so recruit a Royal Malqui, right? And then just have them summon Supayas. Maybe that honestly might be the better route, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm kind of grasping at straws. Like we had this big comeback, right? We survived against the coalition. We threw off Agartha with Ulm's assistance. We defeated Agartha. Great. But we are so far behind. Like, I do not think it's an exaggeration to say that either in this coming war, either we just have to be extremely lucky and basically take all of Ashdod or all of Vanheim's territory, or we need to have the game go to like turn 70 or 80 before we're relevant again, right? I just don't see how we're going to compete at the current point where we're at, right? There are things that we can do. There are tricks that we can pull off, but our research is so bad. We're so behind the curve of where we would want to be that I don't know that we're gonna have a lot to say in the situations that we get ourselves into. We're kind of at the mercy, the whim of the nations around us. So we're gonna see how that all turns out. Special recruits, we're continuing to recruit wolves, so 3 wolves as well this turn. Kind of just making my way through. And then we're doing a little bit of ritual casting this turn. And this is kind of the point of desperation. So let's talk about this, right? So we have rituals for the turn, 1 Haruspects, 1 Dark Knowledge, and 1 Alchemical Transmutation, right? So we are so desperate. Our income is so bad that I'm actually gonna just start transmuting Earth Gems with Mama Pacha. I don't know that we're going to do this continuously, but we definitely, at the very least, need a cash injection. This is going to get us... We're doing 20 gems right now, so that's going to get us 240 gold. Mama Pacha is an Earth 3. With the way alchemical transmutation works, it costs, or it requires 1 level in Earth, and it costs 1 Earth gem. And then for every gem after that, right, you get 10 gold plus 1 for each. Am I thinking? Plus 1 for each additional level that you have. So here's the spell. 10 gold per gem spent after the initial cost, increased by 1 for every extra mage level. Mama Pacha's a Earth 3, so we get 12 gold for every gem, 20 gems, 240 gold, a little bit of a cash injection there. Now, that is somewhat contradictory to the whole idea of us putting up riches from beneath, but like I said, we've got a couple turns before we could even cast riches from beneath, and we need money now. We're getting 5 Earth Gems a turn, so even after 3 turns, we'll be up to 55. If we need to, we could alchemize. We could get more Earth Gems on events. We've got some leeway, etc., etc. We don't have to immediately cast anything as soon as we get it. We're just kind of like trying to figure out what can we do to kind of get ourselves going. And kind of in that same exact vein, right, we have some outgoing trade. We are sending 15 blood slaves to Ulm at a price of 10 gold per blood slave. So another 150 gold coming in from Ulm on the back of that. What is that? 390 gold that we're going to be making off of alchemical transmutation and trading some blood slaves away. Basically just trying to get anything and everything that we can. And part of that, a good part of that is because we're going to have this Koya done next turn. I would like to get another Koya, or maybe even a Royal Malqui, or maybe a fort building in Mark. Something like that, right? Like, there's a lot of different things that I would love to have some money for, and we just don't, right? We just don't. So, yeah, we're gonna have to see what we can kind of pull out. But I'm kind of anticipating that this war with Vanheim is going to go very poorly for us. My assumption is that I think Ulm is going to be very focused on trying to get Ashdod's capital and just kind of like maybe pestering the border here. I'm hoping to just take peripheries, right? And I think the idea is that, you know, Jotunheim taking peripheries, Ulm taking Ashdod, and then Ulm and Jotunheim taking Van proper is kind of the situation. So, kind of really relying on the back of Ulm being being at a mid-game power spike, right? Fingers crossed, because I could actually see a world where Vanheim just kicks all our asses. Oh, goodness. Alright, anyways, other than that, there's not a lot of news to report on. The underwater world continues as it has. Naba is a bit of a free agent right now, with the war between Naba and Jotunheim ending. But to my understanding, Naba is pretty banged up. So I think they might be kind of like in a rebuild period. I'm not 100% sure. It's possible that they immediately start fighting against either Vanarus or Arco Cephale. I believe Arco has been winning out in that war against Vanarus, but again, it's very grindy, nothing super decisive. We're trying to get scouts out into these other territories so that we can try to see kind of what's going on. But at this point, I have to kind of pull back on my production of scouts because my freaking income is so bad that I think that actually matters. We'll see how that goes. I think that's it. I think that's all to really report on for this turn. The next couple turns, I think, are going to be a pretty big deal as we build up for this war against Vanheim. We're going to have to see how things turn out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.